If you're thinking of chicken keeping for the very first time, then this video is for you, because we're going to be looking at all of the equipment that you're going to need.
Hello, welcome to English Country Life. Welcome to the chicken enclosure where the fabulous Fiona and I raise these beautiful feathered friends. Now, we've done all sorts of detailed videos on the best types of coop and the best breeds of chicken and many other detailed aspects, but we have been asked for just an overview checklist for new chicken keepers so they can work out that they've got everything in place before their feathered friends turn up.
The first thing to determine are the breeds you're going to buy and the different ages that you're going to buy them at, because that's going to determine the different things you're actually going to buy. But we'll cover those in the individual sections. But let's just have a look here. We've got some very young chicks who have very different needs to adult hens, but we've also got different breeds here. We've got heavyweight Buff Orpingtons who are less mobile than our copper black Morans, who are less mobile than our Exchequer Leghorns. But let's have a look at coops.
Perhaps your biggest expenditure when you start chicken keeping is buying the coop. And we got some straight advice for you here based on our many years of experience. Buy a Nistera coop. They're made of recycled plastic and they carry a 25-year maintenance-free warranty. And honestly, when I had wooden coops, every winter I was sanding and staining and varnishing, and within a couple of years of buying them I was having to replace parts that had split or rotted. And yeah, they seemed cheap to begin with, but long term they really weren't. And now I just want something that I can buy and forget, and that's the Nistera range. They come in three heights. This is the tallest, and it's great for active birds. But for large lumbering birds like the Buff Orpingtons or even some of the smaller breeds like Pekins, they really don't like the ladders. So for those, I would consider the lodge, which is slightly raised, or the ground coop. And the same comes if you've got chicks. If you've got chicks, they will not like ladders, so definitely the ground coop is perfect, but you can get away with the lodge as well. There's also three sizes available, and we've got all the details in our sizing video on coops. But the one thing I'm going to say to you is go a bit bigger than you think you need. There's a concept called chicken mass, which is you start with 3 chickens and you wake up the next morning with 12, because everybody buys more than they think they're going to need. If you want a beautiful look and a little bit of luxury, think about getting a wagon.
You're going to need some bedding to go in the coops, and I want to tell you about 2 that are here and 1 more that's becoming more popular. Straw is probably the most popular choice in the UK, but there's a couple of problems that we have with it. It is very cheap, that has to be said, but when you're removing poop that's in the coop, because they're long strands, you end up removing quite a lot of it. And the other problem that we've got is that because it's hollow tubes, horrible little mites and pests can actually hide in the tubes if you happen to get an infestation in your coops. So what we use instead is wood shavings, not bark, not wood chip, wood shavings. And this is a brand called Snowflake Supreme. And it's actually a horse bedding. It comes in huge bales, which are very economical. And when you're removing the poop, you're only removing a tiny amount of it every single time. Now, something that's becoming more popular as well is to use sand when you've got chickens that are actually perching, and you put the sand underneath. You would still need one of these in the nest boxes for where the chickens lay, but if you've got sand, all you're doing is very easily removing any poop from underneath without really losing any of that covering at all.
Your chickens are going to need a feeder, and for us it's an easy choice when you're setting out. You want one like this. This is called an Ascot model. It has a wide rain hood to stop rain getting in, which will ruin your chicken food. It also has removable feet, so we can keep it low when we've got chicks, and in the winter when it's raining we can raise it up out of any mud splashes. There's another version called the Ascot, and the Ascot is the same sort of thing, just bigger and holds more food.
Let's talk about drinkers, and this we think is the ideal construction because it's got a double walled interior, and this is an extra tank where you fill that water, because most drinkers want you to do a complete faff, turn the top upside down, fill that, put the base on, turn it over, which makes it heavy to do, and actually I don't like it. This one is far easier. But it comes with removable legs, and that means you can raise it off the ground. So if you happen to have it on wood chip, for example, or not on grass like us, you can keep that water reservoir very, very clean. So those legs are handy, but we haven't put them on at the moment because we've got youngsters. Now what we do recommend, I'm sorry love, you can have some water in a minute. What we do recommend is all drinkers are placed under cover. Now we've got these shelters, but if you've got an Astera coop, both the lodge and the race coop, I've got an area underneath where the drinkers can go. And that's important because it keeps the water from being contaminated by the feces of wild birds that happen to be passing by.
Okay, quick words on food. We get asked a lot about what should I feed my flock, and the rule's simple: feed to the youngest. So you've got chicks, you feed chick crumb. If you've got older birds but they're not yet all laying, either because some are male or they're not old enough, you feed growers pellets. They're known as all flock in the US. And if all you've got is mature hens that are laying eggs, feed layers pellets. That's the rule of thumb. Now get a quality brand, and there's several out there. There's sort of Marriages, there's Duffields, there's Haygates. Any of those are fine, but do get a quality brand of balanced feed. Keep your spare feed in sealed containers. These are plastic. People advise metal, but they've been there for 15 years without problems. And remove your feeders and drinkers at night, because otherwise you can encourage some nocturnal pests like rats, because there's available food and water, and you really don't want to have to deal with that.
As a supplement for our chickens, we provide two things. One is grit, and we provide this, which is chick grit, and we give it to all ages. We never change it out, but you can get specific grit for older hens, which is much coarser, and that in their digestive system helps them actually grind up their food. The other thing which we supply is coarse oyster shell. Reason for that is it provides extra calcium should the hens need it, and what we found is if they don't need it, they don't eat it. And we use this as a dispenser, so it's just a little tray that the grit and the coarse oyster shell sits on, but you can easily get small plastic pots that does the job perfectly.
Part of responsible chicken ownership is keeping your flock safe, and I want to talk to you about three things, because we've got a number of threats to deal with here. We've got ground predators, we've got aerial predators, particularly in the US, and we've also got biological issues to worry about. Now one of the best ways of managing all of them is a fully wired run. It'll keep out your foxes and badgers at ground level, it'll keep out any hawks and eagles in the air, and in the winter, certainly in the UK, we get housing restrictions if there's an avian influenza outbreak, and all birds must be kept either indoors or in fully wired runs. And if you've got a fully wired run, you're already compliant, aren't you? Other things to think about: electric fences. You're going to want to let your birds out onto the grass to let them roam around, but obviously you don't want things like foxes and badgers getting at them, and you also perhaps don't want them wandering off. So an electric fence will take care of both of those issues. And the third thing is automatic coop openers and closers. You can't always be up at 4 AM in the summer mornings to let them out. You can't always be around at 4 PM in the winter's evenings to close them up. But most of the ground-based predators are nocturnal, so getting them shut up when they need to be is a great step towards keeping them safe, and an automatic coop closer will do that for you.
Dust bathing is a really important welfare aspect for your chickens. They need to do it to remove excess grease from the feathers and control any creepy crawlies that have happened to take up residence. So equipment wise, we've provided this old tractor tire filled with builder sand, but it doesn't have to be as elaborate as this. You can have an old child's sand pit filled with dry earth or dry sand, or you could even use a gravel tray that you've got in your greenhouses. Anything that will hold dry sand or dry earth will do the job. I mean, Puffin here's with her chicks on this old molehill, and she'll use that because that's lovely dry earth that she'll dust bathe in, no problem at all.
That's our guide to the basic equipment that you need to get going with chicken keeping. It is a fantastic and rewarding undertaking, and honestly, we think you're going to love it. All the equipment you need is available in our shop, www.englishcountrylife.com. But I bet you've got questions, and if you have, contact us through the shop. We'll set up a phone call, we'll set up a video chat, we'll talk you through any questions or concerns you have so that you're absolutely ready and happy when your feathered friends turn up. If you enjoyed today's video, can you spare us 5 seconds? Give us a thumbs up down below. any questions at all that you have on chicken keeping, small holding or self-sufficient living, leave them down in the comments and we'll either answer them there or make a special video to answer them. And if you want to see those videos, everything else we do on our self-sufficient life, tap on subscribe, hit the bell next to it, and you'll hear every time we upload a new video, and that's a completely free service. For today, thanks for joining us, enjoy the chickens, come back and see us soon. Take care.